Anthony, we're going to be talking about design today. I'm pretty excited about that. What about you?
Happy Friday.
All right. I love saying happy Fridays on Wednesdays. All right. Welcome to No Vacancy Live with me, Glenn Hausman. Of course, the one, the incredible, the absolutely astonishing Anthony Melchiori. Anthony, great to see you today, my friend.
So tell everybody about 4 o'clock yesterday when I called you. What was the first thing I said to you?
Are we allowed to use
I think you're allowed.
on here? You said, don't be a shitbag.
No.
Thank you for not letting me be a shitbag.
Right. I was having this moment. I was driving home from Manhattan, and I was having this moment of gratitude for my partner. And I said, thank you for not being a shitbag, and thank you for not letting me be one.
Yeah.
And what I meant was that when you have a relationship like we do, it's really important that we hold each other accountable.
That's right. Yeah. And it really is. And that's a good thing about our relationship is we call each other out. We make sure that each other sticks to the game plan, and we listen to each other's advice. So I think it's one of mutual respect.
And you know what? Your partner figured out what the problem is.
Yeah. Now he's just gone completely.
The problem is I'm using the wrong camera. That was the problem.
So the reason why we were a couple of minutes late going on air today is Anthony was having some lighting related issues. Turns out it's a camera related issues, but that's okay. I'm going to take this moment while Anthony is off to say happy birthday to my beloved Helene Stein, who's my beautiful bride of 18 plus years. So happy birthday, Helene, out there. I'm so excited to be celebrating your 29th birthday with you once again. And also best wishes to my mom, who, as we are speaking right now, is in the hands of a doctor getting cataract surgery. So hopefully she'll be able to see us a little bit more clearly when she comes out of this surgery. Wondering if Anthony is going to come back anytime soon. But while we're doing that, I will let you guys know that I'm also in the process of a 10-hour rib smoke. I'm making some beef ribs for the first time ever. So I'm really hoping that that comes out okay. Any advice that you guys have for me would be surely appreciated. But right now, everything seems to be under control. All right, while I'm waiting for, there's Dave.
Well, while we're waiting for Anthony, because we're gonna have this will be a little sneak peek of some later pictures. But where are you today?
Yeah. All right. Today, let's take a look. Today I am not at the Residence Inn in Scottsdale. And as you folks know, every single day we like to feature different hotels around the country. This one is from our guest, Suzie Hall, who helped design that property. And of course, she's coming up now. She's the founder of the Cornerstone Collective. I'm looking forward to featuring her on the show. All right, guess who's back? There he is. And that's what we call filling dead air space when your partner disappears for a couple minutes. Oh boy!
You changed my camera. And look what happened. Yeah, I have a good idea for you, Glenn. Why don't you start the show with our guest?
Right. Let's do that. I'm going to bring in our guest. This is just too funny. Poor Suzie. You've got a lot to deal with. Let's bring her. Suzie Hall, welcome to the most unprofessional show in the hospitality industry. It is fantastic to see you. Welcome aboard. Oh, we can't hear you. We cannot hear you. I think you may have turned off your microphone. Can you hear us, Suzie? We cannot hear you, Suzie. Try doing something with your phone. We cannot hear you. Anthony, can you hear her?
I cannot hear her.
No, you must have turned off your microphone. Just, play with it for a minute. We'll bring you right back in. Don't you worry. All right, Anthony, this show's going great so far. It's going to be in our top 10, I think.
So my whole problem was I didn't have my camera on. I unplugged it trying to fix things last night because I was doing something, and I plugged my camera into the wrong outlet. Anyway, so it's all fixed. Sorry about that. So yesterday I was just feeling tremendous gratitude for my partnership with you.
Yeah.
And this became something bigger than I thought it would be. I think both of us. And between our advertising and just how many people are listening to this, so I appreciate it. And I apologize that I brought the professionalism down today.
Yeah, thanks. Anthony, how's your mic doing? Because we're getting reports from producer Dave that your mic's not working right. Again,
How's it sound to you?
The fun continues. All right, let's see if Susie's good. Suzie, can you hear us now? Nope. All right. So far, so good.
My sound to you, is it pretty good?
Yeah, you sound fine to me now. I don't know.
I'm just going to leave it for now. I'm not going to stop playing around with it. So Glenn, we were talking about design today once we get Suzie back.
Yep.
And coming out of the pandemic, the most important thing, I think, out of safety and cleanliness is going to be design. Is it going to feel like a hospital? Is it going to feel antiseptic? Or is it going to feel like a hotel? And maybe we do things with barriers, planters, furniture that makes the lobby feel spacious without feeling like we're trying to do something to protect us from COVID. And I think that's really the biggest challenge of design right now, is getting the room in the lobby to feel spacious and comfortable without having too much furniture and without it being too clumsy. Regardless, if once we get out of COVID, if COVID's still an issue a year from now, maybe even a little bit of an issue, kind of like the flu, where you get a vaccine but still people get it, people are still going to want that space. I think because we've been through this for so long now, almost 8 months.
Yeah.
I think people have gotten used to having space.
Right. Thank you. Yes, Chris, we do know Susie's having issues hearing us. She's working on it behind the scenes right now. Maybe she's had some luck. Can you hear us yet,
Hi.
Suzie?
Can you hear me now?
Yay!
Yes.
Winner!
Oh, I can't hear you though.
Oh. Right. Well,
I can hear Anthony. I can't hear Glenn.
That's strange.
All right, so I'll do all the talking. Suzie, first of all, try to get in the middle of your camera because I can see only half your face.
All right, let's go to this view.
Yeah, there you go. And I don't like that screen at all.
I know.
Go the other. Suzie will fix it. So tell everybody who you are, what you do, and my second question is going to be, tell me how you're designing hotels or spaces during this pandemic. So give everybody a little bit of background.
Sure, great. Thanks again for having me, Anthony and Glenn. Excited to be here. I'm Suzie Hall. I'm the founder and president of the Cornerstone Collective. Used to be Cornerstone Design. We just rebranded on September 1st. This is our 29th year in business, interior design procurement, and now we do a whole bunch more. And we've really done a lot of research and digging deep into design in response to the global pandemic. A lot of things we're doing are social distance layouts, specifying materials that are less porous, that are going to hold up to the rigorous cleaning protocols that hotels and the EPA have instituted. We've done a lot of LEED projects and healthcare projects over the years, so we're really bringing that to the table in our hospitality projects.
So what is the one thing that you found that you changed because of COVID that is probably going to stay as a standard going forward?
I would say the biggest thing is taking a look at all the surfaces and materials at once in a comprehensive manner and not just cherry picking one or two things to make sure that the whole solution stands up to the test of time with these new standards.
So why did you change from design to collective? What's the difference?
I just want to make sure. Can you hear me now, Suzie?
Yes, I can.
Yes, I left and I restarted everything and I came back. Yeah.
Yeah,
Powerful.
love it.
All right. So Anthony, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I know you got a flow going.
That's okay. So what's the difference between design and collective? Why change?
Yeah, great question. So after 28 years in the business, we've worked with a lot of great people, architects, engineers, consultants, sustainability, wellness, and we wanted to be able to bring those to our owners and to our developers. We got asked a lot, hey, can you put the whole team together? We want it integrated, we want it holistic, we like how you work, we like how you lead teams. My dad was a major college football coach my whole life, and so I've got it in my blood to kind of be the head coach of teams. And fun fact is he coached Nick Saban when Nick was in college. And so once we work with people and we know their skills and their talents, that way we can plug and play different project teams. If it's a modular project, for instance, that type of architecture is different than a traditional build on a new construction hotel. And so it's great. We've amassed those teams.
And for those people who don't know who Nick Saban is, Google it. He's a big deal.
Yeah, awesome. So, Anthony, one of the really interesting things is just yesterday, Suzie put out a brand new set of standards called the Nexus Design Standards. And the whole idea about this is to try to bring some sort of commonality to some of the designs that we're seeing in this COVID particular era. I mean, Anthony, one of the things that we've seen, and we've had featured a lot of guests on this show that are talking about their specific brand standards, but Suzie, you make a great point that everyone's a little bit different, and that could cause a lot of problems for owners that have multiple properties. Here you are trying to bring everything together to unify that. Very interesting move forward. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so there are so many programs, certifications, standards out there in the marketplace. It reminds me of when LEED first came on the market. So Leadership in Energy and Efficiency Design for environmental design. And they have a whole holistic program with all these categories, credits. And I've never seen a LEED project attain all credits in a program, right? So it's you pick and choose what's important. And right now in
Sounds like me in college.
Yeah, and hopefully you hit the mark with your scorecard. So that what we're seeing in response to the pandemic, there's a lot of suppliers and vendors coming out with new products, and people are just being inundated with all the information. And so we've collected, synthesized, coalesced everything, put it through our research filter, our decades worth of experience in LEED, in healthcare, in commercial design. And we've taken everything LEED, Fitwell, CDC, EPA, everything, and put it into this new standards program so that owners, developers, even architects and designers don't have to do it.
Yeah, and as you know, you've been on enough projects to know that you've been in meetings wasting hours and hours and hours of time talking about stuff that is useless, and when you have the answers, but everybody just asks a lot of questions. I've been in those meetings when I'm developing hotels, and it's like, I would love one-stop shopping. So when I said that, you kind of rolled your eyes. Why'd you roll your eyes?
Oh, it's so true. It's the meetings and the process. And I think that owners especially are just kind of used to that. But there's a much better way to design. And if with one person leading the charge, if you will, making sure that meetings, the design schedules kept intact, people are held accountable for those deadlines, and not just, oh, so-and-so went on vacation, I guess we're going to wait till they get back, and that sort of thing. No. So with the collective, we make sure from start to finish that we hit our dates, we hit our targets, we hit the goals, and we have fun in the process. When everyone has a plan, just like a football game, and they know what they're trying to execute, it's much better than kind of, figuring it out as you go.
No, I like it when the owner of the property, the architect of the property, and the construction company are in a meeting and they don't get along. And the designer is sitting there going, oh my God, I'm either going to take over or I'm going to leave. You've been to meetings, have you? I had one meeting I'm not so proud of.
Right.
I had to be escorted out of the meeting. Because the designer, the owner, and the architect were literally going at each other, and I was playing referee until I got pushed into the fray. I mean, that's what you're trying to prevent. You're trying to prevent that anxiety of, well, is it an EPA regulation? Is it this regulation? Is it that regulation? And that just adds to a lot of stress, because that's when the overruns come, the change orders come, and everybody gets really pissed off.
Exactly. And everyone knowing their role and their expertise and who's responsible for what from the beginning is really important. Yes, I've been on those job sites where fistfights almost happened, right? Because somebody had a different opinion than somebody else. And so we avoid that from the get-go.
I had an owner that didn't think I was being tough enough with the architect and construction guy, and he decided it was a good idea to punch me in the back and remind me that I wasn't being tough enough.
I love New York. It's great. So, Suzie, I think it's a great idea, really terrific concept to pull all of these things together, and I think it gives us as an industry something to shoot for. And I love your analogy to the LEED program, because when that first started, hotels were trying to do their best, and there was no sense of rules. Then LEED came on. And though they didn't have specific rules for hotels, at least it gave people a framework. And now what you're doing here, that's not only going to create the framework, but give people that sense of trust that we all really need right now with a single shorthand solution. So congratulations on that. I love that you have little things, just all sorts of different categories here. Just FF&E upholstery must be sanctioned as disinfectable by the EPA, and cleaning agents should be EPA approved. Real just smart, common sense things that get us all aligned on the same page and remove a lot of the confusion from the process.
Yeah, and like right now, the buzz term antimicrobial, right, is being thrown out in the industry everywhere.
Yep. Well,
it's not a fix. It's not a solution in every situation. There are some that it's appropriate, but you have to understand what it is and where it's being specified. And so we take all that mystery out as well at the beginning of a project. What we're seeing is, unfortunately, some design firms and professionals just saying, oh, it's antimicrobial, you're good, you're safe. And that's not necessarily the case.
Why isn't necessarily the case? What do you mean?
Because antimicrobial, a lot of designers think that it repels the virus or it repels pathogens. And in some cases it can, but if there's not a moisture barrier, depending on the fiber content of the material, depending on how porous the material is, antimicrobial doesn't necessarily apply to the same level in those different scenarios.
Interesting. That's kind of like people playing fast and loose with language. Like when you look at a food product and it says natural on it, but there's no official designation for what natural actually means. So people usually believe it means something that it actually is. So you want to clear all that kind of stuff up.
Exactly. Yes.
So I have a question for you. It's a little bit off of this topic. Is one of the things that has frustrated me as a general manager, developer, is that when the owner wants a lifestyle brand, I want to be a lifestyle hotel. I want to be in Traeger 30 years ago. I want that kind of hotel. How do you get them back in the box and say, hey, we're going to do what's right for the market. We're going to do what's right for the hotel and what you can sell. Like, give me an example of kind of how you put that person back in the box and say, hey, let's stay on task here. Let's not just say throw out lifestyle. One of the things that frustrated my whole life is when people say, Anthony, you're not a lifestyle general manager. And I have no idea what that means. But you've been in that position. So talk us through that.
It means you don't have enough black clothes in your wardrobe. I think that's basically it.
You need more bright.
Yeah.
No, that's a great.
Suzie.
Yeah, that's a great question. So what I usually do at the beginning is I ask, whose lifestyle? Is it Is it the owner's lifestyle, or is it for the guests, and is it for the locale? So we have a really dynamic conversation usually at the beginning about whose lifestyle and what does that mean. And sometimes, the owner developer just has something, in their mind from their childhood, from their, path forward, whatever it is, and they want that to come to light and come into play in this property. But we hopefully help them realize there's a lot more people involved. And yes, they might have a great story, and there might be certain areas that we highlight the owner's lifestyle, if you will. But the bigger whole of the lifestyle property is a much larger conversation. And it usually takes a series of conversations, concept boards, mood boards. We do an intake, design charrette. We get everything up on the walls. We whiteboard, all that sort of thing. So we get everything out at the beginning. I call it the funnel. The funnel is very wide at the beginning, and then we narrow it down.
Well, there was a project that needed you about 10 years ago. I wasn't part of it. I came in after the Save the Building, and it was an owner that spent, I think it was in excess of $85 million for a building. He got a designer from Europe that over-designed like I've never seen before, used products that were way overpriced and way not necessary. And then after he builds this beautiful hotel on the water, what does he do to theme it and to make it feel like a lifestyle? He puts his picture surrounded by young, beautiful women all over the hotel.
Yep.
So, he spent all this money, but he didn't fix the air conditioning system for it open, so it was a nightmare.
What was the name of the hotel? The Overcompensating Inn?
Let's just say he went out of business or went bankrupt pretty quick. But it was like that. I wish there was a designer. The European designer just wanted his money and just wanted to design and went back to Italy. But if he had someone like you that was comprehensive and kind of, okay, we'll give you a little bit of what you want, but let's not like overwhelm our customer with your face.
Yeah. Well, that's an interesting thing, that you have to kind of act in the middle between what they think is right, but what should be done correctly. A lot of ego issues, particularly at high-end properties in the luxury arena market, for example. A lot of people, it's ego money. It's not necessarily about profitability. So you have a very treacherous path to go down. Now, I'm not suggesting that you share any of those stories with us right now, but how do you go about explaining and getting people to come to your way of seeing things, as opposed to their preconceived notion of how they think things should be done?
Yeah, good question again. So we come in as a team player, first of all. We don't come in with all the answers, and then we ask a lot of questions. And the questions get people to open up, everyone on the team, right? Especially the owner, developer, and even sometimes the brand, if it's a branded hotel. And so we ask a lot of questions, and with the questions, we're always thinking about, okay, what's the result, right? What are we going to be working toward? But what the questions do, and going through that process, which again isn't just one conversation, because you have to establish the relationship, the trust, and all that good stuff for a team. But by asking that, everyone gets focused and centered and like, oh, well, maybe we do want this, or maybe we, can do it a different way, or maybe this is the best solution. So it's more of that interpersonal, emotional intelligence leading than just coming in with okay, let's hit the design and the ground running and let's go tactical. We start very strategic.
How do you deal with an owner that has a brand and you have brand standards that you obviously have to implement, but you want to kind of change it a little bit? Like I had that problem with Stavely Suites in Times Square, where it's a suburban brand, wanting to make it more New York, and there was a lot of flying back and forth to Atlanta to get permission. And I won most of the battles because I was respectful, but it's very stressful. Like, how do you go about that?
Yeah. So again, we build a relationship with our brand representative, whoever that is, and make sure that we're sharing the story about the property. Even if it is a fully branded, fully prototyped hotel property, there's always going to be some custom elements or pieces to it. And we share that holistic story, and we don't, again, just send a furniture plan and say, please bless this and approve it because we've changed the chair color. No, we're painting that picture of the entire property, the public spaces, what's the entry experience, all the way through the hotel, the guest room, and that sort of thing. And usually that relationship that we've built, and we journey through the project with that brand representative, the owner, and the project team, we go back to our initial design concept that we've developed in schematic design, and we stay true to that. And so we're not throwing new things at the brand. I think that's what gets really challenging for them. And unfortunately, a lot of interior design firms have a reputation of doing that. And if we're in early and we're having those conversations, setting that path forward early on and staying true to it, it is so much easier and cleaner for everybody involved, especially the brand.
Yeah. Anthony, I say do take a lesson out of your book. Ask for forgiveness, not permission. Just go ahead and do it.
And usually preparation would be a big part of that. Have you ever bid for a job and then like halfway through the bid, you're like, I'm not going to submit this bid. I don't want to work with this owner or these people because I'm not going to be able to make them happy.
Yeah, unfortunately, that has happened a few times. I think we've gotten better about making sure there's that right fit at the beginning of a project because, yeah, not every relationship is perfect, right?
And
right.
That's really true about whether designers or young managers, is it's okay to not work for someone that you don't feel comfortable with. It's probably better for your career to walk away now than it is to walk away later when they ask you to walk away because you're just not going to get along. There's a lot of jobs I didn't take simply because I thought I'd get fired before 60 days would be up.
You made it through this one so far, so that's going pretty good. But Suzie, I'm curious as to what are some of the ways that you actually convince ownership that your path is the righteous path, the one that should be taken, and that they should really trust in you because, after all, they hired you to do their job.
Yeah, so we rely a lot on our past experience. So we've got amongst our team, over 120 years of experience in design and procurement.
Wow.
So we're able to provide a lot of, evidence-based design and case studies, if you will, and just share, okay, this is what we did in this project and this is how it played out. And the owner's very happy. Here's the owner's phone number if you want to give he or she a call. And that gives a lot of credence to the solution then that we're providing to the owner. If we don't have that, then we're doing a lot of research, our other projects in other realms. Like we won a national award for a boutique bowling center several years ago. And we hadn't done a bowling center before, but then all of a sudden we'd done like 8 of them. So we went into that with a lot of like, okay, this is the kind of work we've done that's kind of applicable to it, but we're going to do some research and go to some bowling alleys and get hands-on that way.
All right, so
that shows the owner that we're invested.
What's a boutique bowling center? How's that work?
Yeah, so boutique is again, it's an independent and it's specific to the location, and there's no brand that's dictating, okay, you must use these colors, you must have this type of lane, and so we got to select everything fresh. And during the painting process, I went on site and the painting crew is like, are you crazy? There's 16 paint colors going on in this space. And I said, just wait wait till the carpet goes in. And sure enough, everyone was ecstatic about it.
That's pretty awesome. What's the most unusual project that you ever had the opportunity to participate in?
Oh boy, that's a good question. A funeral home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, how do you approach that? Because it's still based in hospitality. It's just that the goal of the property that you're creating is very antithetical to what you want in the hotel experience. So, how do you break that down to create something that's engaging but doesn't take away from the seriousness of stuff happening within that building?
Yeah. So we spent time again up front developing what that design aesthetic and package is, what we want it to feel like. So that project was a lot about the experience, just like hospitality, like you said, when the family walks through the door or when they're bereaved and they're walking in to select, a coffin. I mean, very, very heavy stuff, right?
Right.
So we made sure that the entry doors were wood and they had this beautiful beveled glass that was a custom design, and these handles that were they felt like home. And so when people walked in the door, we wanted to put them at ease. And so we did that a lot with the color palette, which was very natural, warm, comforting, inviting, a lot of soft finishes, a lot of carpet, a lot of upholstery, a lot of draperies. But at the same time, we had to make sure there was good lighting that could be dialed up or down. So everything was on dimmers. Because you need it up to make selections of things, but you want it dim if you're going to be actually having a service there. And we put the focus on the front of the house areas, obviously, the back of the house where everything gets done. We put, made sure that those were kind of tucked away. And so as family and guests moved through the space, it was really comfortable. The restrooms were right there. They're easy to find. So people weren't wandering if they're going to stumble on something they shouldn't.
And there's and there's nothing worse than going to a funeral home. That's a funeral home.
Right. Yeah, it's very stressful, but
you're already depressed. You're already upset. You're already there to protect your family and be there for the family. But then to feel that overwhelming sense of loss by just really not a well-designed. I've been to a funeral home probably about 5 years ago. I was like, this is where I want to be buried. Like, I remember it, it was bright. There was something energetic about it, but still appropriate.
Right. We want it to be a celebration of the life, right? Not a focus on that they're gone.
Right. And I guess the good news is you don't have to worry about repeat business. So you just have to focus on the design elements. Sorry, guys. But all right. So, all right, let's go back to the hospitality world of design and stuff like that. How did you get started? What turned you on about a career in designing for the hotel and hospitality businesses?
So just like a lot of college kids, when I was in college, I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up.
Yep.
So I was an English major my first year, and I had this professor that I just was like, no, not going to do that. So I went to business. But still didn't know what I wanted to do with business. So I graduated with a business degree, and my first job was with an office products and furniture company. And I got into sales, which I think everyone should have sales training and experience, by the way. And I worked on projects with a couple of certified interior designers. And I had my light bulb moment where I'm a total or perfect split left and right brain. And I said, this is what I want to do. I want to plan and organize and lay out spaces and make them beautiful and functional, but I also want to make it a really good, return on investment for my clients. And that's when I started in the career. And then 4 years later, I started my own firm because I'm an entrepreneur and decided I couldn't work.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's interesting to me because as I hear you talking for the last 20, 30 minutes, is I was like, she's a salesperson, general manager. There are very few people that I've come in contact with in my career that are great sales managers and director of sales and also going to be great general managers. And as I'm sitting here listening to you, I was like, oh my God, she's a general manager and a salesperson, because there's a way about you that you talk that kind of disarms people, but also I probably wouldn't want to mess with. And I think that's really the important part of being an entrepreneur. And when you're in the room making decisions that are worth hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, you have to command that respect, because if you don't, you may be pulled in an area that is going, in the end, make you look bad, even though the owner wants it. In the end, you're going to be justified to be held accountable for it. And there's a real sense about you that kind of is intriguing, because that's what I'd like to see young people coming up. Like, you have to have that sales piece. You have to be able to sell yourself, sell your product, but also stay true to yourself and be able to manage the project.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. It's always strategic. If you've ever done the Strengths Finders test or quiz, my top strength is strategic or strategy.
Wow.
No, but I did take a quiz in high school about careers, and it actually suggested funeral director or sheep herder. So I had that going for me. And unfortunately, I did not go into the exciting world of herding sheep. But if I ever move to New Zealand, I might get into that.
Race car driver and accountant. I don't know.
Yeah, Suzie, what is going on with the state of design right now? Are you finding that clients are taking a deep breath and putting things on pause, or some moving full bore ahead? We've determined on this show, through all the interviews that we've been doing, this is a great time for hoteliers to be focused on renovations. So how are you seeing that? Oh, she has just vanished.
Well,
and she's
My
back.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. All right. So let me tee up the question again for you, Suzie. So now I totally forgot my question. Anthony?
Basically, how do you see design today?
That's right.
Is it a good time
Projects.
to design? Is it a good time to renovate? I know people starting to run out of money because they're not getting support from the government. So 3 months ago, 2 months ago, full bore ahead. Let's just keep going. Let's keep going. Where's it now?
Yeah, all across the board. So when COVID hit, we were in the midst of placing orders for one of our hotel projects, and the owner said, we're pushing the pause button. We're going to give it 100 days and then see where we're at. And that project still hasn't come back online. They haven't canceled it. We haven't had any hospitality projects canceled due to COVID, but we had probably a handful get put on hold. But we had more move forward, which to me was surprising, very thankful about that. And they're both new construction and renovations.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it's the groups that have funding and that are well capitalized. And, they're also confident that things are going to recover, which we know they will. It's a matter of time.
Right.
Others are more cautious, more conservative, and they just decided, hey, it's in our best interest just to sit tight, focus on our operations, get things really dialed in with our teams, kind of trim the fat, so to speak. And then we'll come back on in 2021.
Right. I'm actually seeing new projects being announced on a regular basis now. For example, Universal Music Group just made a big deal that they're going to be spending $1.5 billion on a resort in Biloxi. That's going to be a 1,000-room hotel, a theater, and all sorts of stuff. And I think if you have the funding, the general opinion is that by the time these projects open, things will have worked themselves out and there'll still be an opportunity. But when it comes to that renovation side, you're probably seeing basically on the funding, but those who have the money, do they feel like now is a good time to go ahead and do that to better position themselves for the other side?
They really do, right? And one of the biggest things about renovating is, the guests complaining about all the construction activities and everything like that. So when you have low occupancy rates, it makes total sense to take advantage of that.
Yeah,
so
you can close the whole floor at a time, right? I know we do our best to find the positive of absolutely everything here on No Vacancy Live. That's for sure. Anthony?
I have nothing to say. I'm just watching you two talk. I like it.
Oh, I like it too. Well, you took your mic off, so I said, "Oh, he's got something to say."
No, I have nothing to say outside of now is the time if you can afford to do something. And also, those people like the Blackstones of the world, they're sitting and they're salivating because although it's I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but there's a lot of opportunities, like the Roosevelt Hotel, for instance, right? That the Roosevelt Hotel just went out of business. It's going bankrupt. Do you think that hotel is going to be sitting empty for a long time? I don't. I think somebody's going to take it, pennies on the dollar, and it's going to be back to a beautiful hotel. So now's an opportunity. People look at it in doom and gloom. It's like, listen, this country is built on capitalism for right or wrong. So with somebody else's garbage, is somebody else's gold. How's that saying go there, Glenn?
I'm totally blanking on it. I know exactly what you're saying.
So,
hey, listeners, throw that.
Someone else's treasure.
So if I took a hotel right now, I could probably get it for pennies on the dollar. And that hotel is one of the great hotels in America. And so that hotel isn't going to be abandoned. And then it's just going to be empty. I just can't imagine, because if a hotel like that gets abandoned in New York City's got bigger problems than the Roosevelt Hotel.
Right.
Yes, New York City does have a few problems right now, but I fully believe that those issues are going to work themselves out. There's a lot of opportunity out there, and that's one of the things that we've been talking about. Hopefully, the government will come through and provide another round of funding through the CARES Act. If you folks want to check out some of the recent shows that we've done, most notably with Chip Rogers a couple of weeks ago, to learn where we are in that process, check that out right here on novacancynews.com and all of our social media sites. But Suzie, it's that's interesting that people will have new opportunities and others. Do you see that this is going to be a good opportunity for you going forward because of all the shifting in the marketplace and properties changing hands?
This being specifically what?
Specifically, do you think you'll be able to get more jobs in the future as all of these properties continue to change hands? I think that's going to be, we're shifting, I think, fundamentally from one type of renovation and construction business to another type of business. I remember after the Great Recession, a lot of the new projects got put on hold for an extended period of time. And a lot of the vendor community, including design community, did a great job at switching over to more meaningful renovations to bring those properties into the next generation. And I see that there'll be great opportunity for folks like you in that category as well. How do you feel about it?
I agree. Everyone's paying a lot more attention, a lot of closer attention to the properties, to the projects, to the details, to the team members, and they want the best team members, right, moving forward. And so, yes, we feel we're very well qualified and we do really care. And I think that, the industry was just on such an up climb and it continued. People were like, is this real? So we'll just keep spending money, right? Yep. So everyone's taken a hard look at what they're spending the dollars on. And we really like to inform owners and clients about, hey, this is really where we think you should spend the money. And here's some areas that we can trim back on the budget. And that way it's a win-win.
Are you working in any hotels right now that have big convention space or big meeting spaces? And if you do, is there any new design that you're doing to compensate for what's happening during COVID?
And did you say convention spaces?
Meeting spaces in general.
Yeah. So the reference I made earlier to the bowling center projects that we've done. So we are just starting to have conversations with some owners about it's almost a modular solution, putting an actual bowling center inside a ballroom or a meeting room to start generating some revenue.
That's cool.
And it's almost self-contained. So you don't have to do a lot of construction to the property itself. You just kind of bring it in, assemble it inside the space. And then it also provides some activities. Not every hotel has their, fitness centers open and their dining open. And it provides just another opportunity, not only for revenue generation, but for activities and the guests. And hey, kids, let's go, check out this cool bowling facility right inside the hotel.
That's awesome.
Love that. That's a great idea. And you're going to see more and more of that over the years. Because there are going to be some convention hotels that, even if they survive, it's like, you know what, they're too big. They were too big even during their great times. Now they're too big. Let's put in the bowl. I did something in Nickelodeon where we put a 3D theater in because we had a room that nobody used, and we put a 3D theater in, and we made millions of dollars off of it. It was incredible.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Suzie, all right, I want to know what a couple of pet peeves of yours are when you see a typical hotel room. Obviously not one you've designed, because you're not going to make those mistakes. But for me, one of the things that I complain about near constantly, and people can't stand it anymore, is why can't faucets in the bathroom sinks come out more than 1/4 of an inch? Why every time I wash my hands do I have to hit porcelain? What are some of the things that you can't stand, and how are you going about making sure that those horrific errors don't happen again?
Yeah, so lighting is huge. Lighting at the vanity mirror for women especially, but also men, right? I don't understand why there might be 3 can lights shining right down on someone's head, and it causes all these shadows, and I can't really see myself very well. So that's a huge one. Not an easy fix. It's got to be designed right. But if you go into a great hotel room that has the lighting from the side, and you've got layered lighting and the makeup mirror, voila, that's fabulous. Crooked switch plates and a bunch of switch plates, right? So for lighting, for draperies, the HVAC, if things are like a 1/2 inch or an inch off, it looks cluttery. To me, that just kind of destroys the interior aesthetic. So things should be lined up. They should be matching in color. And then there's all the great things, right? So is there enough room around the guest chair? Does the task chair roll well on the floor? Is there a task light by the desk so that I can see? Is there one by the bed so I can read? And then Hangers. I
Yes.
think all properties should put more hangers in the closet.
Yes, and not those hangers that I have to take off the little thing that's attached to the thing. I mean, I'm not here to steal your hangers. You can have a little trust in me as your guest. The other thing that really, yeah, Anthony?
Operator, our biggest problem is hangers because those are expensive. The really nice ones are expensive. So I agree with you that I hate those hangers that you can't take.
Yes, but
don't say because people steal hangers more than they steal anything, and they don't mean to steal. Like I've taken hangers and I go put my clothes back in my closet or take my clothes off the hangers when I get home. Like, oh my god, I just stole 7 hangers from a hotel and I didn't realize it.
Oh, here's a really awesome question. Do you see HVAC halos becoming more popular on commercial grade? That is super wonky. I love it.
HVAC what?
Halos. I have no idea even what that is. HVAC halos, HALOS, becoming more popular on commercial grade.
I don't know what that means either.
Yeah. Michelle, could you maybe tell us exactly what that means so we can answer your question? One of the things that bothers me David?
If I'm not mistaken, I think the HVAC halos are those ductless ACs.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
You know what they're called? The ductless AC.
Ductless? I don't know. Anyway, Suzie?
Yeah, anything we can do to clean up the visual in the guest room, yes, by all means, as long as it's efficient and affordable. I think that makes a lot of sense. Get those PTAC units are in a lot of guest rooms, and you could clear up some floor space and
look at that.
All that sort of thing as much as possible. I'm a fan.
Yeah, I loved when we switched from the tube TVs to the flat panel TVs. That really freed up a lot of room and changed the way that you folks have in terms of creativity. Now, in the last 5 or so years, the whole entire hotel industry was preaching, get out of the room. Everyone wants to be in the lobby, social lobby, blah, blah, blah. Now we're kind of in this weird in-between space. You don't want to commit to making a design that's going to be fully hanging out in the lobby, but you also don't want to create a design that is, just a bastion of aloneness in your room. How are you looking to design properties in this new era that could kind of straddle both of those ideas to give people a reason to want to hang out publicly when it's okay again, but also have them feel comfortable in the room, but not too comfortable that they never leave it?
Right. So it starts with the size of the room, the layout of the room, and then got to have natural daylight, right? Mm-hmm. And if the property allows or it's conducive to have some operable windows, fresh air, I mean, I think that's huge. I spent 10 hours in my hotel room, I think yesterday working. I'm coming to you live from the presidential suite at the Davenport Grand Hotel in Spokane. It's an autograph hotel. And just being able to get out of the room and take a quick walk is so important, right? But to have enough room to move around in a hotel room, but like you said, not too much. I think it's important to have enough space to get a yoga mat down.
Yes.
I think it's important to have enough space to have a working area that is separate from the sleeping and from the bathroom area and all those activities. And I think there's a balance between how big is big enough, but how big is too big, right? Because people do still want to go and probably mingle, or they'll get back to that, in my opinion.
That room you're in, you did not design that room, correct?
Not this one, no.
No, that room, I'm going to guess, is 2009 design. Do you know when it was designed last or no? Was it a brand new design?
This is about 4 years old, I believe.
4 years. All right.
That's just what you said, 2016. I heard it clearly, Anthony. Yeah.
Couch was big, about 10 years ago. I put those in a couple of hotels. I really like that couch. And I like that fabric. One of the things that drives me nuts, and Glenn has seen this, that I put white towels on all my furniture in a hotel room. Every single hotel room. I do not sit on fabric furniture. If it's leather furniture, I'll just wipe it off and then I'll sit. But I put all the towels. I ask for extra towels, put towels everywhere. I don't like sitting on fabric furniture. And that's basically from my post-traumatic stress disorder of Hotel Impossible, where I found too many things on my blue light. So how do people put fabric furniture that's not easily cleaned or stains aren't easily removed still? I don't understand it.
Yeah, some designers feel if it's not a woven fabric, it's not as comfortable, it's not as welcoming. They think that leather-like is too sleek or modern or cold. But we can, do both by adding, a moisture barrier, some of that protection we talked about earlier with Nexus.
So I have a word for it. That's disgusting. I made a living out of saying that. And it's true. It's like, I don't mind a fabric for if when I come in, it looks clean and it's something I could even wipe with some kind of rag or something. But I just hate that deep, that fabric that looks like it's just been there forever and it's just got stain and dust in it, and it drives me nuts. I'm a leather guy, and I just like cleaning all of the fabric. So going forward, do you see, this is an interesting question, and I'd like to see what you're getting from the owners. Right now, brands, management companies, and owners are at war. And I mean that, like, they're going through the pandemic, so everybody's a little bit kind of like beaten up a little bit. So, but they are a little concerned about, are the big brands going to really be valuable for me going forward? Or should I hire somebody like Suzie and somebody like Anthony as a management company to come in and really show me how to run this hotel, and I don't need a brand? Are you starting to get that a little bit more than you used to?
Yes, a little bit. I think that the brands will always offer that stability and a lot of standards and a deep wealth of knowledge and information and a framework, right, for the hotels. But yes, I think, during this pandemic, it's a time that there's some innovation being spurred and people going really deep and looking at what do I really want and what do I want moving forward. And some owners are saying, yes, I want what I want, and I want a good team to help me bring that forward instead of a brand maybe prescribing what that should look like.
In our company right now, me and my partner, Outside Success, that's what we do. We don't want to manage your hotel. We want to teach you how to manage your hotel. And with a great designer and what we bring to the table, that's all you need. If you're interested in bringing yourself forward, why? And again, I love brands, but if you're a person that's worked their whole life to build this hotel and you want to build your vision and you're going to give it to a brand, you're going to have a lot of stress in your life.
So, all right, I got a great question coming from friend of the show, Kevin Sanders. What interior finishes do you see, Suzie, changing due to the pandemic? Like flooring. We already saw that trend, and we're big believers here that we're going to see an acceleration of these trends to like LVT flooring and stuff like that. So do you think that's going to take over now? It seems like the perfect excuse to finally get rid of that pesky carpeting.
Yeah, so definitely an increased percentage of hard surface and non-porous materials and finishes in guest rooms in particular, yes. I don't think carpet should go away completely. I think there are great cleaning protocols. There are great ways that carpet and pad can be specified in the right way. I stayed in a room, 2 months ago, and it was so stripped down. It was so hard surface everywhere. It felt really sterile. So there's not one right answer for every type of hotel room, guest room, but I think we will see more hard surfaces, less porous surfaces in the guest rooms, flooring. I think wall covering will stay in some of the areas, less grout joints in the tile, easier to clean. That could be larger format tiles or, the acrylic surrounds. I think that fabrics, we've already talked about that. It's going to be that balance of the leather-like, the wovens, the velvets. There's new technology coming out every day when it comes to fabric. So good designers and good design firms dig deep into those specs and they understand what those actually, how they contribute to health and cleanability and performance.
What's your go-to lounge chair in your hotel? One of the things that I cannot ever find is a lounge chair that I can have breakfast on, lunch, have a meeting on, have my Zoom call on, have my computer on, watch TV at night, and basically even sleeping. Like I like getting into a room, getting into my chair, and not moving. I don't like working on the bed. I hate working on the bed. I don't really like working on the couch. I like those lounge chairs that really kind of just I can do anything from. Have you found one?
Well, there are multiple. I like having two different ones. I like having a good task chair that's ergonomic, that gives the back support, that I can kind of move around in a little bit as I'm working. But then I like getting up and going to a higher back lounge chair. So it hits up here. For me, I don't like having the headrest because sometimes it knocks my head forward. So I like having a, mid to higher back lounge chair that I can lay back in, put my feet up on an ottoman or it's a recliner, that's super important because then I might want to read something, read an article or take a break and scroll through LinkedIn. That's a different function than sitting at a task chair. So I think it's important to have both. I like to get up and move around a little bit. I think it's good for the body.
Yeah.
I think, Anthony, just a giant stack of towels would work well for you.
It's funny you're talking about an ottoman. I remember developing a hotel, and the owner wouldn't invest in this ottoman. It wasn't very expensive. It was fake leather, and we got it out. We didn't get it. It was very inexpensive, or based on the project. And I said, listen, everybody's going to put their feet on your coffee table or on the bed, right? And he goes, no. So we had a prototype room, and I went out of my way to beat the crap out of the coffee table. With my every time I went in there, I was just like kicking it and scratching it. And one day he comes in and he said, "What's going on?" I said, "Listen, we're bringing a lot of people in there. They're sitting. First thing they do is put their feet on the coffee table." He goes, "We should get an ottoman." I said, "Good idea."
Well, that's always a good approach. All right, we're going to have to wrap up soon. But Suzie, one more question before we start to head wrapping up. Are you seeing more requests for the Internet of Things, smart room type of integrations in general?
Yes. And I've always been a big proponent of that. That's actually one of my super skills is integrating technology with design so that it's seamless. And I have a nickname called Jedi Princess. So I like to have kind of things, be able to do things and people are like, wait, how did that happen? Right. So definitely touchless is going to be, it already is more prominent in the hotel design. But technology, you've got to have strong Wi-Fi. You've got to have ports for things. You've got to be able to think through how the guests are going to use the space. And not every guest is the same. And so where do those live, right? Are they all at counter surface level and cluttery like I talked about before? Or are they integrated? Are they in the apron of the vanity versus right in the backsplash? There's a lot of that sort of thing. But so much is based on the internet and connectivity and wireless these days that just think of, if you don't have Wi-Fi, how you feel. It's not very good, right? And everyone's holding their phone up like, oh my gosh, I need a signal. So the more that hotel properties can invest in that infrastructure, the better off they're going to be.
I love what you said when you said Jedi Princess. You look so happy with that nickname.
Now we also know how she wins over owners. You will put in the lighting that I'm thinking about, right? So, Suzie, Anthony.
I have one more question. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go for it. No, it's good.
Are the higher end hotels? I've probably spoke about this too much, but I love these Japanese toilets that they have like at the area.
Totos.
Are you starting to not just toilets, but there's others? Have you been seeing owners ask for those?
Yes. Yep, definitely. They make so much sense. And
less expensive than they were. I know they were like $5,000 a toilet. Are they less expensive now?
Yeah, there are different brands, different manufacturers out there, so you can hit different price points. There's tons of bells and whistles as well, but it's an important element in the guest room.
Yeah, I think so.
Excellent. So, Suzie, wrapping up, what are you most optimistic about in the future?
I'm most optimistic that, we're already seeing and feeling this surge of optimism and activity and owners moving forward. So we were just awarded a big new project in the Seattle area, brand new boutique hotel. And we are optimistic that more and more people are going to go that way instead of, living in the fear. I mean, the pandemic, I think by now everyone thought we'd be through it, right? Mm-hmm. So the reality is that it's not going away anytime soon. I sit on a hospital board. I've been on that for 8 years, and the conversations we're having is like, okay, we're in it for the long haul. So the mindset, that optimistic mindset, we just try to share that with people and say, hey, there is a path forward, and this is how we can do it. And this is how we can do it for less money than you would have done it 6 months ago.
Yeah,
right.
I'm a proponent, especially since I got back from Vegas last week, and I've been talking about before that, but it's you can travel safely. Period. Yes. You can do it. And we are going to have to travel safely to get our hotels. I was in the city yesterday for an appointment, and I went past the Peninsula and it was closed. I went past the Plaza, it was closed. I went past the Park Lane, it was closed. I went past the Ritz-Carlton, it was closed. And I will not lie, I cried. And now I read that Peninsula's coming back, and a couple other hotels coming back. But we need to travel. We need to come back. And we need to get in these hotels to save jobs. one of the things that we've been a big proponent on in the show is this isn't about rich people getting richer. This isn't about hotels. This is about a housekeeper or a bellman supporting their family. We need to get back to travel. Like I was talking to my doctor yesterday, and I said, "Have you been traveling?" He goes, "Oh, absolutely." I go, "Great. Where'd you go?" He goes, "Well, I went upstate." I go, "No, not regional travel. Have you been on a plane?" He goes, "No, because of all the restrictions and everything we have it." And I understand that. And listen, I'm the biggest proponent of the restrictions that we had to have in the beginning. But now these quarantines in New York City of 35, 40 states, I understand them, but they're destroying our economy and destroying the travel industry in New York City. So I'm not in government for a reason. I would never want to make those hard decisions. But I can tell you that a little bit of me was lost yesterday when I saw these iconic hotels that I spent my career either running or having a drink or have meetings in closed. It's all right. We're 8 months in, man. You can choose to be safe. You can choose to go to a hotel and be safe. And if you have good managers, especially like the Mark Hotel is doing a great job. They're a luxury hotel on the Upper East Side, and they're just won #1 hotel in the country, and they're doing it safely. I passed by there, and everybody was safe. Everybody was wearing masks. Everybody was doing what they're supposed to do. They were outside eating, and I just think it's time, not to go off on a tangent, but I just think it's time for people to start traveling.
I couldn't agree more. I drove up here with my son to Spokane to spend time with my older kids and just have some family time, right, all in the same city.
Mm-hmm.
And my son's SAT exam got moved. I put him on a plane yesterday and didn't think twice about it because
Good.
I wanted to maximize the time here, but I didn't want to drive, I wanted to stay till today. And didn't think twice about it. And he had to fly through another, he had a connecting flight. And I said, hey, here, mask, wash your hands, this and that. And I have no fear. I totally agree.
Literally, the only fear I have about getting on airplanes right now is reduced travel schedule and having to sit around for 3 hours between flights. Other than that, everything is the same as it was, just with the mask.
Well, I think that's important, but I just want to kind of make a note. It's not that you're not fearful, because if you weren't fearful, you wouldn't be wearing a mask. It's that you can do it safely. So I wear a mask because I am fearful that the guy next to me has COVID, and I don't want to go home with COVID. Mm-hmm. But if I wear a mask, or I make sure I'm in business class, or I go on a plane that I know is maybe flying in the morning and it's not that busy if you can't fly business class. So there's a way to do it. So am I fearful? I'm fearful. That's why I wear a mask and stay 6 feet away from people. But I'm going anyway because I'm fearful of the plane crashing. I'm fearful of my Uber driving crashing. I'm fearful of getting food poisoning. I mean, but we live and we go on. New York City has got to come back. I am really optimistic about the city coming back in the winter because I really believe that people are going to come in the city, see the tree, walk around, go to stores, wear their mask. And so I think you're going to start seeing, I could be wrong, Glenn, so you can hold me on this date. And I'll remember this date. You know what? Today's my anniversary. 2-year anniversary. Do you remember what happened to me 2 years ago, Glenn?
Yes. Today would be ladder day. When you fell off the ladder?
Day. I fell off the ladder and shattered my ankle, and all the bones came out, and it was crazy. So today's 2 years.
Wow.
I fell off the ladder. But anyway, so I really think New York City is going to come back in the winter. Again, not to what it was pre-pandemic, but I have a good feeling that people want to come and feel New York City in the winter. And so hopefully our occupancies, listen, if we can run 50% occupancies in New York City, 60% we'll get through the winter, and hopefully we'll get to a vaccine and we'll be able to save these great hotels.
Suzie, how can we find you? Tell us, give us a good shameless plug for you and Cornerstone.
Yeah, so we are at www.cornerstoneinteriordesign.com. You can just Google Cornerstone Design. We also have a YouTube channel. So if you search for Cornerstone Interior Design on YouTube, please subscribe. And we have weekly videos. We've just, I think today's our last day of the Nexus series. So we have about 5 segments all about Nexus.
That's awesome. And you've also done segments on even like the basics of hospitality design, all sorts of great informative stuff. And I got to say, I watched a couple of you're really terrific on there too. So be sure to check that out. Go to cornerstoneinteriordesign.com. Do not go to Cornerstone Collective unless you're in the market for some weed in California. So go to Cornerstone Interior Design. I Googled it. I learned that.
When I get my new show, Suzie, I know who to call to design one of my hotels. And keep me in mind if people are looking for a consultant management company. That's what we do all day long. So it was a pleasure to have you. And I love when somebody's ability to get stuff done and creative side come together, because there's a lot of people who can get stuff done, but not too many people are creative and vice versa. So when you have that all in one company, that gives me, a great relief. So thank you, and hope to have you on soon.
Oh,
Thank
thank
you,
you.
Suzie.
That's great.
It
Thank
was
you,
really
Glenn. It's been a
terrific.
pleasure.
And let me just make a public apology to Suzie. She had to get bumped a couple of times. That was all my fault. I feel really, really terrible about it. But you were awesome today. Well worth the wait. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So,
Anthony.
Matt
What?
Damon,
What? Huh? What?
or Matt Damon.
Matt Damon? What about Matt Damon?
Remember that with Jimmy Fallon? He had to bump Matt Damon once. So that
Yes.
at the end of the show,
They had the feud.
yeah,
I think then Matt stole his girlfriend, and it just went downhill from there. Yeah, I agree. I could see you as a race car driver, Anthony
Hey,
Melchior.
Danny, what's up, Danny? Our favorite person who works her ass off for us.
Yep.
I was a race car driver. Well, I trained to be a race car driver. I had enough hours in the race car to get my professional driver's license, but then we had children, and that didn't happen. But I did 2 years ago go 170 miles an hour on the Autobahn in Germany, and there's proof of it on my 5-star or my Extreme Hotel show. 170 miles an hour. You know what happened at 171 miles an hour, Glenn?
I have no idea what.
You peed in my pants. A little too fast. That is a little too. I went 170 like 20, and I was like, because I realized I was in a sports car with no roll bar, no nothing. If I would have flipped, I was dead 17.
Yeah. Wow.
17 times.
You see, now I'm not that adventurous, but I was a school bus driver for summer camp, so I did do that. So tooling around at a good 29 miles an hour was more my speed.
I can absolutely see you as a summer camp school bus driver.
Yeah.
My school bus driver had a bat that he used to bang on the top of the bus every time we get out of hand, and he was a scary fella. So we didn't get out of that.
It was great. I was like 19 years old, and I had a commercial driver's license, and I held onto that commercial driver's license for, I don't know, like 15, 20 years or something like that, just in case the writing field didn't work out for me.
Did you ever stoned when you drove the bus? Be honest.
No, not with kids. But I may have been once or twice at a fish show. All right. Yeah.
So, you know what? Listen, I've dealt with a lot of designers, and when you go into a meeting with owners and bankers and everybody else, I feel real powerful when I have my team that I know is second to none. And I've been fortunate enough to build those teams where I walk into a meeting and I'm just like, I'll sit over there. When they need me, they'll call me, and normally they don't need me. If you have someone like Suzie come into your meeting with you, you're trying to sell a project, you're developing something, or trying to get financing, you just get out of the way.
Yep.
And don't say a word, because she knows she's just been doing this for a long time, and she's so articulate. She's such a salesperson, but she also knows the intricacies and what people are going to live with when the hotel is open. One of the things that drives me crazy is design for design's sake. Mm-hmm. She understands once my doors are open, I've got to live with what you're giving me.
Right. Yeah. And that's such an interesting point. A thing that a lot of designers don't really think about. They think about the job at hand, not the long-term viability of the products that are in that property. Anthony, I got to get going because I've got to go and do a Q&A session for the Red Lion Hotels virtual conference going on right now.
Yesterday, and it was fun. So have fun, my friend.
All right, thanks. So be sure to subscribe to our newsletter. Text the word hotel to 66866. Subscribe there. Check out novacancynews.com. Like our YouTube page. Follow us on LinkedIn. Like us on Facebook. All of that kind of good stuff. And Anthony, tell us a little bit about Hospitality Success. You got another one tomorrow, right?
Next Thursday. We're taking tomorrow off.
Oh, good for you.
My partner has something to do, so we're taking tomorrow off. And so Hospitality Success, you can go to anthonymelchiori.com or hospitalitysuccess.com. Find us and get a interview with our VP of Client Services, Chad, who will make you laugh and make you cry all at the same time.
Beautiful. I love it. All right, guys, we'll see you tomorrow for another great show. We got Julianne Smith, who's the SVP of Franchising with IHG Americas, coming on the show tomorrow. That's going to be a fantastic episode. Can't miss it. So until then, remember, the long night's over and the sun's coming up. And you've only got one life, so blaze